everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Lilia. Today we're making a broccoli cheese soup, and don't worry, it's actually not super high in calories because I'm actually going to be using some potatoes as a starch instead of flour, so you're using mostly vegetables that are really high in fiber. I also want to let you know that from going forward, I'll be adding the nutrition facts to my videos so you can adjust the portion sizes to your dietary needs. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm going to start off by boiling my chicken broth. You could use any broth of your choice though. And I'm boiling that first because I want it to be really hot when these potatoes go in. Now I'm going to dice my potatoes just very fine, that way they cook up a lot quicker, and then if you decide to blend them later on, it's a lot easier for them to blend. And I'm using potatoes, like as I mentioned earlier, as a thickening agent instead of flour. I think it gives it a better taste, and it's a vegetable, so I feel a little bit healthier eating this versus flour. Now that my potatoes are in, I'm going to go ahead and cover these potatoes up, but just leave enough space for air to escape. If not, if you cover the entire pan, sometimes you have water spillage and it makes a big mess. Now, I want to take my soup to another level, so I like to add extra veggies to my broccoli. Broccoli, of course, is going to be the main ingredient, but I do like to add a few carrots, some onion, and some celery. And for this, the way I cut it, it's just really any shape. I just like to mince it as small as possible. And now I'm going to get my pan warmed up with a little butter. I like to add butter instead of olive oil because I want to give my soup a little bit more flavor. And I'm using unsalted butter, that way it doesn't turn out to be so salty because we'll be adding some other seasonings and some cheddar cheese to this. And now that our butter is warm, I'm going to add my chopped veggies. I like to saute them before I add them to the soup because I like for them to get softer, not as crunchy, because remember it's a soup, but at the same time it also gives it a little bit more color. I don't know if you've noticed with greens, when you cook them up a tiny bit, they become even more like a darker, vibrant green. So I'm going to give that a little stir. And half of these veggies, because I like my soup to be somewhat thick, half of this mixture will be pureed, and then the other mixture I like to add it in last minute because I still like to see some pieces that are still whole. Now my broccoli, I'm going to go ahead and add that in as well, but don't overcook this. We want our soup to still be a little bit of that vibrant green. So I cook it for about 5 minutes max, and all of this I cook it on a medium heat. And broccoli cooks very quick, so you will be fine with it. Here I'm cutting my cheese into small cubes so it melts a little easier. I would suggest using a block cheese over the shredded stuff only because they add a caking agent and it makes it very difficult to melt. As far as the type of cheese I'm using a mild cheddar, but of course you are the chef of your kitchen, so you can use any type of cheese that you would like that's just easy to melt. Now I'm adding my cheese to that broth that we were cooking the potatoes in earlier. I'm actually going to blend those potatoes. You could blend it with an immersion blender or just a regular blender. And then I'm adding my cheese in. And make sure your heat is not really high. You want it to be at a low medium heat. If your heat is really high, your cheese will end up sticking and burning at the bottom. So you want to make sure that the entire time you're stirring the soup, because of the milk, all the dairy products we use, they easily stick to the bottom when it's on high heat. To season my soup, I like to add a little dry mustard powder and some nutmeg. To enhance the flavor even more of your broth, you can add either a vegetable bouillon or a chicken bouillon, whichever one you would like. That's kind of up to you. And then a little salt and black pepper. And I like to use fresh minced garlic instead of the powder. But if you don't have the fresh one, you can definitely use the powdered one. Alright, so the vegetable melody mixture that we sauteed earlier, I went ahead and blended that, and I'm adding it back into my soup. It also works as a nice thickening agent. It makes the soup a little bit thicker and creamy. And once this is all in, continue to keep stirring the entire time and make sure that the heat is on medium. And here goes the other half of my veggies. Oh, and the color's so beautiful. I don't know about you guys, but I do like to see those little chunks. And it makes it feel more like a homemade soup that way. It doesn't look like something you must have gotten out of a box. This is real. And continue to stir this again. By this point, your heat can now go down to low. Just let it simmer and thicken up just a tiny bit. And there you go, guys. And look how creamy it is. So this is how your soup should look like. If you want it to be even thicker, just blend up more vegetables. And that is how we make broccoli cheese soup. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. And for more recipes like this, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you're always on the know of the next video.